Let's let it pop up. So you might want to mute your microphone because we're live. Let me fix this up first.
Okay.
What's the name of your group? Turn your mic on.
It's actually a page. It's not a group. Crystal and Indigo.
Okay, I'll find it.
Guide to the
Yep.
Galaxy.
Crystal.
But I can always do it. If it doesn't let you do it, I'll do it.
Crystal Indigo, right?
Yes.
Huh.
Crystal and Indigo. Guide to the Galaxy.
Crystal Indigo Guide to the Galaxy. No, well, there it is. I got it. I got it. All right. Boom.
Let me see if
All right. We got it right on, I got it right on Facebook. So now we'll just, I'll do YouTube later. All right. You got your mic on?
Yes.
Let me turn the comments on Facebook on my phone. Just so I can see those. You were saying that there was something significant about this broadcast.
Yes. About our meeting today.
Right.
Live. Okay, okay, I don't know what's happening, but give me one second. Give me one second, please.
Yeah, there's a lot happening, I think.
Yes, but maybe you can start sharing on the information you received.
Okay.
I love that painting, by the way, behind. It's beautiful.
Isn't it cool?
It's really beautiful.
Yeah,
and it really reminds me of a Greek village, but it is a Mexican village, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yes, I think Mexico and Greece have very, very much in common.
Yeah, I think so. There's a lot less pressure, I think, you know, not being in the US or a Western country, really. But yeah, there's something about the authentic nature of it. But
yeah, it's more 4D.
Yeah, or 5D.
An app. Yes, because the cities, you know, and they're 3D and 2D.
People are very present, right? They're very present. So you asked me to start. So what happened was in these incredible energies that are everybody's feeling that are hard to explain, Morgan had a dream that she was watching me and you on like this, right? And I was like me, like, you know, the human me, and you were a goddess, basically, dressed in goddess attire, and we were having a conversation. So she told me about it, and I said, you should message it in me. And I asked her later, and she said, no, she hadn't. I said, I will. So I did, and I sent you the note. And then you said that a couple of days before, you saw you and me talking. So
I received a very fast, you know, intuitive, you know how something crossed your mind just very fast, that that you were going to contact me.
Right.
But at that moment, I was doing something and I didn't follow up. I didn't pay so much attention. And then, yes, a few days later, you messaged me to have a live. Anyway, I cannot share it on the page. I don't know why. So I'll just leave it as it is and share it later. So what was the information besides Morgan's dream? Any
Well,
other information?
okay, so that was specific to this, but I think overall, to your question, it actually involves, I don't know, the last 3 months, 6 months, 9 months. I think really I could speak to the last 2 or 3 months from the masculine perspective. And I think your question at a higher level or at a soul level is asking for something along those lines. And I think there's been, I know I've experienced for myself a huge shift of the greatest proportions in the masculine.
So it all began after the September equinox. Everything began amplifying and becoming faster and stronger after the last equinox, which was the equinox of the equilibriums, meaning that the twin flames, the masculine and the feminine, in this portal of September, finally reached an equilibrium after so much, so much work and effort and time. And now, after that, they would be able to synchronize with each other inside the Kundalini paths so that they could lock in together. So after the September equinox, this began. And of course, it's the feminine who has been doing the preparation and the work. And the masculine, okay, he's a little bit behind, but he's now catching up. And so much has taken place since September. So much. I don't know if I remember everything we've worked on with the group, but the main thing was the correction, the great correction of time, which was about the anomaly that took place in the main columns of time, in the main currents of time. And that anomaly that took place, whatever took place there collectively for each one of us and their own genealogy, basically was so hurtful and traumatizing that created certain branches in time, extra branches in time that began developing and growing and spreading out of this traumatized reaction. So we were basically living and creating through those branches that were outside of the organic time. So basically, the whole work during November was about going back there in that moment where the anomaly took place and remember what happened to the masculine and the feminine. And these columns of time, it wasn't just one column, it was about different columns of time, different civilizations. And each one of us is connected to a different, line, a different bloodline, a different collective information line, chain, whatever you want to call it. So this was actually one of the most difficult works we've ever done when we contact this part of what took place there and how the feminine and the masculine had hurt each other, betrayed each other, you know, how they started perceiving each other as enemies, basically. And because in that state, we were also creators, you know, we are creator beings, we cannot stop creating. But after that anomaly, we continue creating, but out of a reaction to what had happened. It wasn't through the conscious flow of life, through the conscious flow of time and space. So we created those branches that were totally out of the organic flow. And now we began, after we remember what happened, we began pulling all of our essences and all of our qualities and all of our powers back in the organic flow of time and space. And this has been going on for many weeks now. And somewhere around there, mid-November, I was called to visit the mountain, the area of the Magna Mater, which is here outside of Athens. And it's a mountain that, you know, it has an ancient history of the feminine, but the very ancient mother. And at first, I didn't know why I was called to go there, but I did. And as I start, you know, working and connecting there, I realized that this was bigger than what I thought. This was about a calling to facilitate and embody and facilitate the return of the Magna Mater, the Great Mother, and her matrix, and how the feminine goddesses now are being called to take position to their thrones. They're given back their thrones, and the feminine pyramids, you want to call them, Merkabas, are also returning. And it was just an unbelievable experience of what took place there. And after that, on the 19th of November, where Pluto was entering for the second time in Aquarius, this was the day that we worked on the opening of all the flows of the organic energy in all of the spheres that had been activated a year before, or not, yes, almost 1 year and a half before, when the motherboard switched on. The first day that Pluto entered Aquarius was when the ruby diamond returned. It returned in the main motherboard, and it brought back all lost frequencies and activated the 12 petals. So since then until now, we have been working with correcting our spheres and healing whatever took place in each sphere. And 19th of November was when finally the orgasmic mode of the Earth's orgasmic mode switched on. And this has also ignited a whole new thing, whole new energy for us, because now the twin flames are taking a new axis and a new orbit. I mean, it's so much that have taken place. I don't know if you want to discuss anything about that, because I could go on for another hour about what has been happening.
Well, I don't know how much I don't know how much time you have, but we have plenty. But to your question, so much came through with what you were saying, and I feel that you should elaborate on it, because there's a whole bunch of questions inside of that
Okay.
description you gave us. So
Yes.
I don't know where to
So,
start. I guess you would know where to start, but you're saying that in the middle of November, 19th November, that basically, I think is what you're saying, the mother goddess frequency, or the mother goddess herself, or however you want to describe it,
switched on.
switched on fully once and for all, and her daughters, so to speak, are being asked now to step up and take their throne.
Yes.
Then you
Which,
said
yes,
then you said something about the twins,
feminine pyramids.
the feminine pyramids and the twins. So if you want to start at the beginning and just expand on it, I would love to hear it.
So basically, we were in the matrix of the Dark Mother in the program, in a reversed reality, okay? Now, this has ended. So this switching on is igniting the moving. Okay, I don't know how to describe this because this is so complicated, but basically, the spheres of creation, where, you know, there are spheres inside spheres, inside spheres, inside spheres, inside spheres. And each sphere is a different clock, basically. Okay, so we were in this one sphere, in this plane that is surrounded by this sphere that was locked outside of true time. And now all the spheres are being repositioned in ways that I cannot even begin understanding, but I've seen images of that. All of the spheres are being repositioned, and the matrix of the grandmother, of the great mother, is emerging. From what I witness is again from inside, like the inner sun. The inner sun, it's not somewhere up there, it's underneath us. Where I see the inner sun is down and on my left from where I am. So I don't know exactly where this is, but this is the central sun. Inside the central sun is the mother's womb, and inside the mother's womb is the child. Okay, it's a trinity. The inner sun is a trinity. The light, this is a work we did in the previous months. So all the plasma light that we are receiving from the north aurora, it's not coming from upwards, it's coming from underneath us through the opening in the center of this creation, and then it spreads through the corona. So this was just in the parenthesis. Now the mother is emerging, and she's bringing the son or the sons, the daughters, the children. But upon her return, all the feminine pyramids are being activated by certain people, by certain goddesses that carry the creational codes. There are certain beings on earth as we speak that are incarnations of the mother, and the beings who carry the initial creational rays. These are the beings who have been called lately to align with these pyramids and also align to the Great Pyramid of Egypt. But for me to go back to what began in the equinox about the feminine and the masculine, the feminine now is being called to take her position, to take back her throne, and the masculine is in the process of
being stripped to the bone.
releasing his last connections with the Dark Mother,
Yeah.
and returning in connection to the True Mother.
Yeah.
And what he's releasing basically, and that's within everyone, okay? That's within both men and women. What our masculine is releasing is the programming, the conditional programming of love that was coming through the Dark Mother. And this is what he's dropping, and what he's called to realize and embrace and call back in is the unconditional love through the Magna Mater, the living mother. It is a very different energy. That is why it's life-changing for the masculine. That is why everything masculine within us, whether man or woman, is undergoing a huge transformation at this point. And with the opening of the orgasmic mode and the returning of the Great Mother's matrix, we are opening to the quantum again. We're reconnecting to the quantum, which means all those fallen aspects of us, starseed aspects from different families, they will now be able to actually reconnect to their true mothers and families. And this is huge, because this will now be available collectively. Whereas before you had to do, a very specific work in order to do this. Now it's going to be more and more available for everybody. And these starseed aspects, which I have been writing about a lot lately, most of them were very young when they fell. I'm talking about babies or little toddlers, in the best case scenario, or teenagers. And these aspects, whether angelic, whether, elves, whether dragons, whatever you want to, whatever starseed aspect, they were not ready, they were not ready for this. They didn't have enough information. They hadn't developed enough. They found themselves, with different mothers, different fathers, under a specific program, under specific manipulation. They had to survive. They went in so many agreements and contracts that began, entrapping them. And they had to go through the whole circle, right? Through the whole cycle. There was no way out of this. And they forgot. And they began creating relationships and creating bonds with beings who were not, their true family, their true friends, their true whatever you want to call it. And this is, again, where those layers of forgetfulness and those contracts of entrapment are being removed, are being released. And this, again, will be very healing for our quantum selves. This is huge, because those starseeds, it is like taking a little baby God, and like a 2-year-old baby God, and bring them in 3D. They do have the inner memory of being gods. They have great abilities, but they're inside a program that's totally, distorted for them. They're very limited, they don't feel nurtured, they don't feel understood. They cannot truly use their powers. So the whole thing was very frustrating for our consciousness and our souls. And now this is also healing. Those parts can reconnect and return to their true nature. And this was very, these starseed aspects were interfering with the human aspect. And like, really, if the person wasn't doing the work, if the person wasn't, in therapy, in inner healing, they wouldn't understand what was happening to them. And most of these aspects, they had a memory of unity. And the only way that they could work on or try for this unity in this realm, in the 3D reality, was through codependency and attachment. It was the shadow of unity, of true unity. The shadow is codependency and attachment. So another huge thing that the starseed aspects will start understanding and healing from. Or many starseed aspects, they had, addiction problems because of this, because of the different contracts and because of the different attachments that they had. So it's a whole big thing that now is actually opening for healing for everyone. And the key is to always understand the human code and work with the human emotions, work with the human needs and the human body, because those starseed aspects do not carry the human code. They carry the code of where, their true genealogy is. So yeah, I said a lot. Maybe you want to share a bit.
No, it's incredible. What do you mean by the star seeds? We,
Aspect.
all of us, I think, can relate to
We
this,
all have starseed aspects, yeah.
but we didn't carry the human codes. Is that what you said?
No, I'm saying that the starseed, its starseed aspect, they carry the code from their own star system, okay?
Right, right.
The human code is very different. Like the human has many different needs than another star system, another plane of existence, let's say. So usually the starseed aspects were so powerful and they wanted to express and they were taking over the human. So we see that many starseeds, they in a way underestimate the human, the body. They try to connect energetically with their star system, and they haven't realized how important it is to actually be in their body and honor the human code, honor the emotional code, the mental human code, the physical human code, and understand it. Because it is through this code, the human code, that most starseeds have been, putting aside, not paying so much attention, or it was very difficult for them to connect to. This is the code that the starseed truly need in order to fully come in balance in their body and actually open up those inner portals and inner connections to all the starseed system that they come from in the quantum. But instead of doing that, there are so many starseeds who are trapped in addiction, trapped in bad relationships, trapped in a family dynamic that hasn't allowed them to grow up. They usually lack of adult life, or they have difficulties providing for themselves. Generally, they have difficulties with anything that is human. And they have been trying to really support their family, support their loved ones, support, or lead or guide other people, thinking that this is the way for them to maybe one day get what they need, which was, a different kind of connection, a different kind of environment that would allow them to be who they are. But it's actually the opposite that they need to do. They need to stop supporting, stop trying to change others, and actually focus within and understand themselves more so that they can be the ones who will heal themselves. Once they heal themselves and they understand who they are, what happened to them, and they understand their biology, then the healing will automatically go in their family chain, also in the family, in the DNA.
Yeah.
So I think there was a lot. I've been working with many starseeds from all around the world. It is the same common factor
Right,
usually.
right.
A lot of avoidance.
Would
For
you say,
therapy,
go ahead.
yes.
Oh, quick question. Would you say that one of the many things that's shifted, let's just say in 2024, the things that served us for so many years, 10 or 12 or 15 or 20 years, as people woke up to their starseed lineage and listened to that voice. So many people that listen to this broadcast, and you, me, Morgan, so many people, we've kind of reached a point where that's no longer the major emphasis. The emphasis is to be in the body, and I like what you said, apply the human codes or learn the human codes in complement to that which we have remembered. In other words, doesn't matter who, like you said, you've talked to different species or different types of star seeds all over for so many years, and yet they all have the same template, which is we're here to be human, and combine that with everything that we've remembered and will remember, right? something like
Yes,
that.
and also it is time for the starseed to drop the illusion that, how can I say this? That it is their starseed aspect that is higher than the human, and that it is the starseed aspect that's going to save them. Okay, because when we talk about, first of all, when we talk about starseed, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're very high in frequency. Okay, there are star systems that are even lower than us here. You know what I mean? So you really got to know where you come from so that you have connection to the frequency of what took place in the families in the different systems. This, for me, is a growth process now. We are being called to grow up and embrace our journey, honor our human journey. And our star families and the 5D families are very clear that they do not want to disturb the human experience of their children. Very clear on that. Okay, which this is something that we need to hear and listen to this. They're not our families, our 5D families. They're really supporting our human experience because they know how important it is for us.
Right. Yeah.
So
Like
it's now, as you said, many starseed had the information, the contact, yes, beautiful, perfect, but we need a different balancing. It had gone out of balance. It was too much up there, out there, you know what I mean? And the human aspect was neglected or bypassed in many different ways. And this was cultivated, you know? And I think it is because of lack of understanding of the human code and how important it is as we're carrying this human body, and why we are carrying a human body and we're here to do whatever we're doing. It wasn't fully understood. I think we're going to understand now, because it is through the human body that all of us will reconnect to where we want to reconnect. And it's an inner job, it's an inner state. So I've had so many starseed that really were in need of a psychiatrist, so many starseed that were in need of AA groups, and all I was hearing, okay, except a few exceptions, that they don't need it. You know, to me, it's a pure denial and inner illusion, no connection to what is happening to your human, There is a human code.
Yeah.
There is a human code to be learned. And this is through therapy, somatic therapy, all kinds of, you know, human approaches, healing approaches.
Ultimately inner work, right? Inner work.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But somebody might think that inner work is connecting to their star system and taking information from there. I'm not referring to that.
I know what you're saying. Yeah. So in all ways, even to the point where, let's just say, things that we've experienced previously, because we've subjugated the human, we put it as secondary, we are overlooking the experience, the code that the experiences brought us. And to go into that human experience more fully now probably offers our greatest code, from what you're
It was
saying.
very
And that
painful.
makes a lot of sense, because the human code can only be delivered if we are to the level that we engage it. And if we're still on the umbilical cord of the multidimensionality, the galactic, or whatever it is, then we're missing what we haven't yet experienced, because everything that we're connecting to, we already know in a sense, you know what I mean? It's like,
Yes, but it was also a way to survive.
true. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I
It was
think
very
that's,
valuable
yes,
because surviving was number one. Okay, number
yes,
one,
yes,
we
true.
managed to survive by leaving our bodies and connecting to our soul, to our spirit, to our family. This is what happens to, a baby deer, let's say, when it is attacked by a lion. Have you seen that the deer, it collapses just before the lion grabs it? It is a mechanism that we all have in our biology to leave our body whenever we're in the face of threat and pain. So all of us experiencing trauma, whether in the mother's womb, whether in a previous life, whether early on in life, we all used this surviving mode. Parts of us escaped outside of the body. So we survived like this. But that was then when we were under threat and we had to survive, when we were little children and we couldn't do anything about it. But those aspects that left the body continue being outside of the body. And other energies took over the body, therapy, healing, somatic therapy is all about going within again, go through these traumas again, and make space again inside the physical body for those aspects to return. This is basically the whole thing, but it's very scary because the child or the baby believes that going through these memories or energies in the body, it's going to be the same kind of fear and the same kind of, desperateness, which is not true, because if you're an adult, you can find, and if you follow, if you work with somebody that knows, you can actually create new solutions. And you don't have to be stuck in those old conditions. You can actually help those parts of your essence return in the body. That's all. We survived. We did a great job, but now it's time to return in the body, because all the portals that we want are inside the body. The Kundalini has all the portals. And if those portals and the pathways are blocked or empty or obscured, we cannot, energies cannot sit to where they belong. The portals cannot actually be activated properly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yes.
We've come a
But there
long
are
way.
many people who are doing it. This is what I want
Yeah.
to say. Many people are doing it now. Many starseeds who continued the work, they've actually seen the results and the progress. And this is so positive because they're really happy with it. They're really happy and supporting their process. And the more starseeds are doing that, the more this healing, greed of energy, this
Could you turn on the
healing.
teapot?
Hmm?
Teapot? Yeah, I'm on mute. Can you turn on the teapot? I was on mute. I was telling or asking Morgan to turn on the teapot.
Oh, you were not mute. We heard you.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Did you really? Um,
Yes, the
so,
teapot. Okay.
so this, um, what's happened, or the point that we're at, um, that's what I've been feeling. I've not heard it verbalized, but I knew that something had occurred to where we could no longer be over dependent on those aspects and connections that woke us up, right? That created this whole thing the last 12 or 14 years. You know, all these light worker groups and communities and star seeds and all that stuff. This
We
is
don't
really,
have to magnify them anymore.
yeah,
What I see is that, let's say it's the human body, and
yeah,
now these wormholes are opening up, they're available for us to hold connections to all these star systems, just like that, through these wormholes from our bodies. Have you seen this image with Krishna in the center of creation, and then all the planets are around him? Have you seen this picture ever?
no, but I can visualize it.
So it's all about the center, basically. By demagnifying those star systems and entering our bodies, we are entering the center of our spiral. And naturally, this is going to happen naturally. Those wormholes will open up, and we will hold the whole spiral just like that in our energy field. We will be like Krishna in the center of creation.
Right.
And each one of us, will experience the center of creation, the center of the spiral. And all the planets and the galaxies and all the star systems are going to be there all around us, active. No effort, no, to magnify something or lessen something. Everything will fall into place naturally through natural law.
Like our own personal universal Akashic, right?
Yes. Yes. I think now it's galactic, and maybe we will be universal later on, but for now it's definitely galactic.
Yeah. It was last night that I had the understanding that the human life is a life within the life, and the life that originated it, you might say, was our galactic. So, for example, years ago, Morgan was channeling, we're on a hill in Utah, and she said, I just remembered the promise that we made to find each other. So that was coming from, in this case, and we know it's all infinite, but like the original life that created this sub life, not to take anything away from it, that was a human experience. And I really got that. And we were doing a session last night, and a lot of things happened obviously over the last few weeks, and certainly the last few days, especially with the masculine energy, like you were talking about. But I had this understanding that we're over the hump. Like it's going to be from here much less of a challenge to let go and detach, because our awareness is such that we have the fortitude and the confidence and the knowing to really focus on what we know is real, which is everything that you're speaking of, and then bringing that into balance with our human aspect, which is really the generator of the new code, which can only be brought forth by our conscious and willingness to go into it fully without the crutch of the things that we came from and that woke us up and that we've been maybe over identifying with, not in a bad way, but there's something shifted here. And so it's moving very quickly.
It's becoming easier because the spheres are being restored. That's why it's becoming easier. Imagine our spine, right? And imagine our different bodies being attached to our spine. And now imagine after the falling that at least 4 of those bodies, spheres, had fallen, disconnected from the spine. And all of our work, 1 year and 1.5 years now, it's been to actually managed to bring those spheres, bodies, back into their connection to our spine, to the human spine. And this is basically what the ruby diamond brought back, those frequencies, so that we would heal those spheres that we had lost, which means part of our being, part of our aura. And this is why it's becoming easier, because naturally those spheres are rotating again, are being restored again. This is what is amazing. And the same thing is happening with the multidimensional system of Earth. We are reconnecting to those spheres in the system of Earth and the multidimensional clock of Earth. And it's definitely going to become more easy and more exciting.
Some of the things you talked about kind of correlate with what we've been experiencing the last few days. One of the things that happened was, I think it was about 3 nights ago, 2 or 3 nights ago, and we have a balcony that looks over the bay, and there's a couple of buildings between us and the beach, basically. And so it was in the evening, and there's been one star in front of you and one to the left. And then between these two buildings on the right, at that particular time, the moon was crescent and right across from Venus. So about 30 or 45 minutes later, we came out and it was gone. But the other two stars were still there. And then there were some other things that happened. The power went out and lights turned on. There was like a timeline shift. But one of the things that happened that night was, I was telling Morgan, I think this is part of what I've been experiencing as a masculine energy, is that the masculine energy is at a point where they're confident enough and have let go, as you were talking about earlier in the show, everything, that connection to what you described as the dark feminine, and is able to share his own code and intel.
That's with the masculine who have been doing the work. That's with the masculine who have been doing the work.
Yeah. And like you were saying, it's really, what's now available for everything, and it's the masculine in all of us or the feminine in all of us. But I think there is some importance to speak about it. But so what happened that night was, I was telling her a few things that I'd experienced, and I said, a couple of days ago, for some reason, because I don't get visions like you and Morgan, mine's other senses, I think, for the most part. And I had this very vivid third eye snapshot, or video, basically, of the pyramids, the 3 pyramids. Everything was a golden white light, and this ball came in from the left side and touched the top of each of the pyramids, and the cap appeared. And she said, "You got to be kidding me." I said, "No." She said, "About 10 years ago or whatever, I was shown this vision of what I just described, and that when that would happen, that there would be a major activation with all the pyramids around the world, etc." And I won't go into the details of what she said. And now you're talking about the feminine pyramids being activated. And
yes. Did you get any information on the capstone?
She probably has some, and she probably told me, and I can't remember, but I do know that either that night or the next night, we were laying down doing our nightly session, and she was suddenly hovering over the Sphinx. And she said, "Oh my God, I'm hovering over the Sphinx." And immediately it came into my third eye, and I could see these like electromagnetic blue white lines come out of the Sphinx, like an activation. And to your question, at that time too, she was pulling in that there was a horizontal activation as opposed to these vertical. There was some kind of and obviously it was tied to what she saw 10 or 12 years ago. And it seemed to be a very, important thing, or something that we were to remember, or that we left to remember. But what do you know about the caps?
You know why I was crying before we started?
Why?
Because there was a video that popped up on my feed showing this pink ball of light above Egypt. It appeared last night, and it was witnessed by people in Alexandria of Egypt, but also from different areas, or even Libya. Even people from Libya witnessed this ball. I don't know if I can show
Are
it
you
to you.
serious? A
I'm
pink
very serious.
ball
And when I
appeared.
saw this, I just burst into tears, and I was crying, crying,
Wow.
because it's exactly, the color of the mother,
Right.
and reminded me of the ruby diamond also, that was above the realm.
Right.
Let me see if I can find, I posted it. Just 1 second. Okay, can you see this
Let me see.
from my story? 1 second. Can you see this?
Yeah. What is that
Yeah,
over? What is that, the
that
pyramid?
that's I don't see the pyramids, but it's above Egypt. It doesn't matter
Oh, I got
because
you. I got you. Yeah, yeah.
we don't understand the space exactly and how it works. Because also when the ruby diamond returned, it returned from the ancient portal of the Olympia, ancient Olympia, where the Olympic flame is lit every 4 years. There is a portal above Olympia, and this is where we delivered the ruby diamond that came back from the 12th and 11th dimension. And after we delivered the ruby diamond, it moved above the realm somewhere, let's say somewhere above Greece and Egypt. And it connected and it aligned with the Great Pyramid. So I saw this today and I was just in awe, because I don't know what this is. It looks at the beginning, there is a video. There is a video also. Maybe I can show you the video. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah.
At the beginning of this video, here's the video. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
looks like the spirals that the SpaceX is creating every time they try to break through the firmament. They are creating those spirals, right? At the beginning, it creates those spirals, and then there is like an explosion, and then it becomes pink. Do you
I
see
see
it?
it. Oh my God, that's wild.
So I don't know what this is, but all I know is that I was crying for 1 hour after I saw it, because it was such a sign. And not only that, today, out of all days, I took my a new pink crystal that I bought last week, and I went to a park near my house that I've been working with the trees and the different, energies there. And I have been working with the different realms through this park. And today I took this pink crystal in the center of the park, where is the central part of the creation. And I placed the crystal, the pink crystal. And I had no idea why I did that again. But once I placed the crystal, I felt such a healing energy of love returning in the center of my heart, like a healing restoration of love and pink color that is returning now. And I felt this energy of pink and this pink energy of love spreading through the central part of the lands, and then spreading to all the other realms that the center of this creation is connected to. And I came back, and later on I saw this video, and then I just started crying because I just felt it's actually, it's just miracles. We are experiencing miracles, and I think it's gonna get bigger and bigger. But about the capstone, so I wrote this post a few days ago about how in the last two group sessions we had, we were asked to go to the Great Pyramid of Egypt, inside the pyramid. And after this began, also, this was the first time we were asked to do such a thing in such a way. And once we went inside the Great Pyramid, each one of us was just asked to take whatever position inside the pyramid naturally, that came naturally. And after that, after we finished, of course, I had a whole experience in the pyramid, which I don't feel like sharing now, but it had to do with the Great Mother and what is about to unfold. But the main message that I received after that was a calling, which I posted on the page, which had to do with the 144. And it was said to we were asked to send out a call to all the 144 who are holding, again, the rays of creation. To connect to the Great Pyramid of Egypt. I didn't receive anything about the other two pyramids. I'm only talking about the Great Pyramid in Egypt. Now is the time that the 144 beings, God and goddesses that hold the rays of creation to reconnect and take their position inside the pyramid. Along with them, there will be many teams and many groups of people who are connected to them. So imagine the 144 gods and goddesses who are carrying the creational codes. Imagine them as central nodes, as these people are the central nodes, okay? And now imagine that these central nodes are connected to more people.
Right.
Groups of people. And then these people are connected to more groups of people. So once the 144 take their positions in the Great Pyramid of Egypt, whether physically or energetically, okay, they will activate the machine that it's called the Great Pyramid of Egypt. It's a machine that connects matter and antimatter.
A machine?
It's a machine, yes.
Yeah,
This is what
a technology.
it's a mechanism. It's a mechanism. It's like
Yeah.
a computer. I don't know. Yes.
I think it's the
Yes.
same. What Morgan was saying here, and I remember now, she put on a comment, was that when the horizontal network was turned on, the pyramids everywhere would activate to assist or expand the facilitation of that, further, which I think that's really what you just said as well.
The pyramid needs the 144 beings who have the creational rays.
So
This is how one will know if, I was told, okay, when the first time when I entered the pyramid and this whole process began, I think that was, I think it was probably November 19th, if I'm not mistaken. When I went in, I looked at the pyramid and I could tell that there were some of the 144 creators that had taken their positions in the pyramid. But I was told most of them hadn't still, which means this will be an unfolding process for many. Once every 144 creator being takes its position in the pyramid, another network will light up. Okay. So it needs the 144 in order for all its functions to turn on, because I was also told that there are many aspects of the pyramid that are not known, either chambers, either functions, codes, whatever you want to call it. Most of it, it's not known, but each 144 creational being comes in and takes she or he position, her or his position. The whole mechanism will begin being activated in a new way and will start revealing to those people, not to anybody. You have to have the codes in order for the pyramid to reveal to you certain parts of its. As I was revealed a great part of the pyramid that I had no idea it exists. I really had no idea. So every time 144 person creator being comes in and takes their position in the pyramid, they will be revealed something very important. For me, it's a time machine. The capsule that we have been reading, it's the Great Pyramid.
That's wild.
Once we all get together, we will read the whole capsule and we will be able to bring back the capstone and exit. This is Exodus. They told me this is the beginning of Exodus. Again, this is about the people who are exiting. Not to be mistaken about, there might be people who don't wish to exit and they're just gonna follow, another path. So the call is about the 144 beings of creation that hold the creational rays to go and connect via their own guidance, whether physically or etherically, to the Great Pyramid of Egypt. But I guess, now that I'm saying it again, I hear that some of them might not be fully ready. So it might take some time. It might take even a few years for this whole thing to be completed, all the positions to be completed.
So when you said the feminine energy in the pyramids had been activated or had been turned on, it sounds like that was all of that feminine, like almost like the egg is ready or something like that. And that
Like
really,
what?
like the egg is ready to be fertilized, something like that. And I guess there's been a wave. I've experienced something. I can't really put it in words, that the seeding is taking place. Like maybe not, like you said, it might take a few years on a linear timeline, but energetically, it seems like the conception is taking place, even though on the human timeline it might take a while, but it's happening. Is that what you're saying?
What is the conception that you are talking on?
When
Like,
this
can you explain?
when the sperm hits the egg and the spark of life occurs.
Yeah.
And yes, and so coming from the masculine perspective, in the physical form, and I don't know anything, I just know what's happened to me, which is especially over the last few days, letting go of everything. And you said it one way, using the metaphor of the dark feminine. And
The
for
dark mother.
the
Yes,
dark
the
mother,
conditional
yeah,
love, the conditional love of the
right,
dark mother.
yeah, the false mother, the mother of the matrix, that was created within this realm or whatever. But for me as a man, it's been to step away from the deepest part of me, the what I feel is the most secreted away to basically, I don't really know how to say this, but to basically turn away from just that dominant lower sacral sexual power and to really let it go. And it was like a huge death. It was surprising to me for two reasons. One, because I didn't know that it was still active. And two, when it left, it was easy. It just left. I thought, oh
Yeah,
wait, that's gone.
yeah.
But what's happened is, and it's materializing in my life with Morgan, and I know that we're just a copy of what's happening, is that there's this new frontier, there's this new universe or new space or something that is not, as you said, the human has to be there fully, but the space is not the same. And what I mean by that is, like we were told last night, are you ready to see, basically, as you break through, are you ready to see the things that you couldn't see? And I took that to mean, visually, contact, what people call contact. And I don't mean like, ET, whatever the case is, but like to see more of what we've not been able to see because we've been so overlooking things by being either, like you said before, not in our body or in the program so deep that we couldn't see it. I just feel like that there's something that's happened. I don't know if it's a conception or right before it or what, but that the masculine energy, and I think you said this at the beginning, has cleared to the point where they can connect and see each other basically and begin to create new things, which, as you described, is done with the wisdom and the knowledge and the code and the intel of our multidimensionality, but being fully in the human body, and seeing where that goes, no longer being tied down to all these things that kept us from and limited us, you know.
So the men were used for their sperm and
Yeah,
their power,
yeah,
creative power, physical power. They were serving without understanding the dark mother. It was the sperm and the man's energy was used serving the dark mother. And what I mean by that, because again, these were the branches that were created outside of organic time and space. So the men, after the anomaly, the masculine, of course, began creating, right? And in the nature of the masculine is to offer to the feminine always, to be
right,
the protector, to be the provider. This never changed. But what wasn't conscious was how the dark mother, the program of the dark mother, was actually using the sperm and the qualities of the man in order to keep on feeding the fallen matrix.
right,
And this was taking place through millions and millions different ways, okay? But what is happening now within the masculine, within all of us, is that he's able actually to do what you just described, to detach, clear those contracts, sexual contracts, energy contracts with the dark matter. So straight away, there is a new space opening up because I don't know yet, Todd. Maybe for some men, okay, or women, it has been already realized. I don't know if actually the masculine has fully realized the depth of the exploitation of his sperm and his energy. I
Wow.
don't think it has happened yet fully. I think it's very devastating to go through this realization, to reconnect with this part of the heart, this part of the penis, this part of, of the being, and really admit how through the journey, through the fallen journey, how deeply the exploitation was. And I don't think it has happened yet. But once the masculine comes in contact with this realization, this is where the whole realm will change.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if it's happened either. I can only speak for myself, but something happened and it happened, like I said, it it just happened. And
No,
I think
no.
it was
For
on
you who have been doing the
December.
work, yes.
Yeah, it was December the 7th, but I think it's important. I mean, I think, like you said at the beginning, whatever's happening, there is a difference in the sense that it's accessible for everyone, right? And
Yes.
there's some
But
kind
the
of,
forerunners like you are the ones who are meeting every new energy first, you see?
yeah,
You're representing the masculine in on earth, every new energy that is available,
yeah.
you process it, right? And then you're grounding it for everybody.
Well,
And then comes more and more and more until it reaches the collective. This is what I meant when I said I don't think it has fully
yeah,
been realized, meaning by the collective, not by the forerunners.
yeah, yeah. And I think so much of, for me anyway, as a man, bringing in the human code that is the new universal code, which can only be brought in by stepping into it. I think there's a language that's developing, uh, well, for the masculine energy, which typically shows up in the male form. So I'm just trying to equate that with what's just happened and the code that you're bringing in alignment, because it is in alignment. I'm in awe of this moment, really. And that is that, to what you were saying earlier about the exploitation and that type of thing, of the sperm and the power and all that. Um, I feel for myself, and I feel that it's probably very likely for the masculine in form, that it's our experience and awareness fully of shame. Because I've had experiences over the last 2 or 3 days that are very personal and very collective. And this has mostly been in memories and stuff like that happening. And it's been, I guess you would say, our part, our ownership or responsibility of being that particular force within this false matrix. So it's on one hand, it's a situation where when it's owned, it's gone. And at the same time, all of a sudden, not only do you see yourself in this new form, which we might call, let's say, divine masculine. I don't even know what that is, but at the same time, you're seeing her. You're seeing the mother. You're seeing her incarnations. You're seeing it in her, your partner, in your mother, in your mother-in-law, and everywhere else. And it is both confronting and lethal, meaning death, but at the same time, and it just happens at the same time, and I'm still new to it. But I agree with you. This, if this is an interpretation of all of our masculine energy, literally letting go of everything till there's nothing left but her, which we all come from, right? And it's been very humbling and confusing, but it feels good. But at the same time, you're you're just so transparent and vulnerable, and it's wild. It's a wild thing because I know it's a collective energy that I'm connected to, and blessed enough to have a sister like you and a partner like Morgan and others, my mom, and and so on, to see the feminine doing what you said at the beginning, that as she is in a space now, she can sit on her throne, and therefore he will do the same.
Let me see if I can show you this picture, this image. So yes, on the same thing about shame. Let me see if did it happen? Yes. Can you see this image? Okay, I'll move out of the way.
Yeah, I see it. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So
Wow. That's
this
wild.
image shows the masculine, the inner sun, embracing the feminine, right? And inside the feminine, she's embracing the child. The inner sun reconnected to us. The portal opened up, and we've been having lots of, inner coming plasma for the inner, from the inner sun, which is the light of the inner sun is not like the light of our sun. Our sun, actually, in my opinion, and from what I've seen, our sun, the 3D sun, is actually reflecting the light from the inner sun. It's like a crystal, it's like a portal, like a mirror of reflection. So the light that we are receiving from the 3D sun is just a reflection of the inner sun. Now, as the corona of the earth opens up and the human corona opens up, we are receiving more and more of this radiation through the element of radium. That is a different kind of light, quality of the inner sun. I call the inner sun the merciful one. The love, it's beyond words. After we established as a humanity, as a collective, the reception of the plasma, we established, it's an ongoing thing now, right? Now comes the feminine. This is what is happening now. We are facilitating and embodying and bringing back the womb, the matrix of the Great Mother. And as she comes back, she's bringing the child. I don't know if you can see it in this image.
Yeah, I do.
So this is basically it. There's so much to say, but about on shame that you mentioned, we have been carrying shame, all of us together, women and men, and we are erasing this shame, all of us together.
Yeah.
We're doing it together. And we're returning to innocence. We're returning to understand that we were always innocent. We just fell into a different kind of world, into a different kind of matrix with certain contracts. And those contracts were specifically created in order to make us partners in crime. Okay? When somebody makes you, in a way, one way or another, manipulation through, offers that seem actually that will help you survive, all kinds of manipulations. And you say yes, you become a partner in crime. Once you become a partner in crime, they got you. They got you. This is how the dark beings were able to manipulate the children, all of us. And this is how they kept on feeding and kept the children under their control. The one thing that their dark beings were telling everybody they made their partner in crime, it was that God, after what you did, God will never accept you again. You're forgotten by God. This is the testimony of many people I've worked with. Every time those souls wanted to return and to correct things and escape, there was this threat. You will be punished. God will never take you back. There's no way for you to survive except by staying with us.
Right.
And it created ongoing shame, ongoing desperation, ongoing depression, addiction, you name it, all of
Well,
it.
ongoing damnation of ourselves. That's really what it is.
Yeah.
But
Denial of
I like what you
love.
said with the partners in crime thing, taking into consideration the masculine and the feminine energies in all their forms. But that's really, it's interesting to me. I know that the collective stories and movie scripts and things that are occurring and all that, and we know that's distortion and everything, but there's always some sense of symbology in it. And it's interesting watching all the masculine energy in the world stage, but you can see and feel the feminine energy coming into the picture, the compassion, the common soul sense, the uniformity in serving all humanity, the like I said, the compassion, the love,
Yes.
almost to the point where I would say, and I'm just trying to describe a feeling because I can't really speak as much as before because it's not anything I can put into words, what I see or what I feel or what I'm experiencing, but I would say something to the effect of being so like that picture, coming to the point where you are the core of it all. You're both out here and you're in here, and you can't really understand it, but there's nothing else. So no matter what comes, you won't, we won't be leaving that position. We won't be going back out into the old, not because it was bad, but because we've uh, gotten the code. And now the second part of it, to me anyway, is now that you have the new code and you're still in form, what do you want to do? What are you going to do? Who are you going to be with? How are you going to do this? And with this feminine energy, this feminine, the mother, um, being fully seen and being anchored, has a whole different set of geometry and math and language and everything. So you can't build anything from the old way. And I'm living it too, like with what used to be Sology. I respect Sology's consciousness. I'm not actively part of it anymore. And something else is happening and it's totally different. So, like today, I see being in alignment with that. It's important. It seems small. There's not 10 million people watching and all that, but that's not the point. The point is this is where our true strength is and our alignment and our soul is and our commonality and our unity consciousness, if you want to put it in those words. And not only that, but this is what we build from. And it's the masculine being that space where she's like in your picture behind you, where she's contained. And then, as you said in the beginning of the show, at the core of it is that child. In fact, that picture represents what you said. And I don't know for the audience when you would go back in the show, but it was like in the first 5 minutes, you said what that picture is. That's exactly what you said.
Yes, it's happening now, the second phase. of a reconnection with the inner Trinity. This is the second phase. To my understanding, this is the second phase, the return of the gods, the goddesses, and the feminine pyramids. And the third phase will be the creation, the child. This is, I think that because we have been going through certain alignments with the beginning of the zodiac and the different planets, now that the North Node is reaching the beginning, 0 degrees of Aries, it's a major time. At the same time, major time for the readjustment of the clocks. At the same time, when in March, Neptune will hit that 0 degree of Aries, we're going to have a massive change in time, in the quantum. And when Saturn goes there, end of May, I believe, another great readjustment of the clock. After that, I think it's the beginning of the third phase of this Trinity, inner Sun Trinity, that we will be able to ground the third energy of the creation of the child. That's I think this will begin in 2025.
Is that like October?
I don't know yet. I don't know
Yeah,
yet
because
because
that's pretty
now
much what your sister said over here. Is
what?
That's pretty much what Morgan said. It's what your sister over here said, which was this year was, like the feminine, the first 3 months, then the child, and now the masculine. And then we're going to the end of the year and we're learning to work with this new energy. But that next year, it would be the same pattern, so to speak. Yet we would have this experience behind us, and then the alignments, so to speak, energetically, be they planets or whatever, to support it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
To my understanding, it's the solstice now
Yeah.
that the goddesses, this is what I have also prepared for the group to do. It is the energy of abundance that is opening up, and at the same time, the establishment of the feminine pyramids through the goddesses that are here, in their body. And after this takes place, it has already been taking place by those few forerunners around the world, but now it's going to happen in bigger groups. As I said, there are these people who are functioning as nodes, and then their teams and their groups and their networks that are also embodying and grounding the new energies. So it's the solstice that the goddesses, at least in my team, we will work with the pyramids.
Okay.
After this take place, we will see how the third energy will unfold from next year. Because yes.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. I thought you were
No, it's okay.
There's a lag. Oh, okay. And it's not that anything's right or wrong. I'm just curious. But for me, for the pyramids and basically Egypt, what we know as Egypt, although I think it's a lot bigger than that. I think
Yes, it's a
the
whole
pyramids
system.
aren't necessarily singularly Egyptian. There's something, like all of our DNA and all of our energetic cords. There's a lineage, but that somehow or another, like what she experienced and then recollected, and then I saw the same thing, and then I told her what happened. She goes, "Oh my God!" Like that's the type of intel and synchronistic, threading that we're all doing. But to me, it seems like that was kind of the markers or the hints that we left ourselves. And so
Yes.
now you're speaking of the feminine network within that pyramid network being turned on. And I know what I've experienced in the masculine part of me, which I know must be happening collectively, or at least for some people or whatever, again, it's almost like I don't know how you would explain it, but that what you're talking about next year is is just really an extension of what's happening and been happening, particularly this year. But there's less threat, there's less dirt on us. There's less, ties to the past, you might say, or to the programs or to the conditioning. I think there's a lot of people, a lot more people than we might think in this world like us that are moving away from the clickbait and from the stories and the narratives, be they the galactic narratives or the present narratives, and really, I guess you would say, if you look at that picture behind you, really taking that all in, because we're not just a part of that, we're all of that. And somehow or another, it's happening both in our own coming together. And I like what you said about the group thing too, because I think there is something to be said for small groups coming together, small gatherings like this, where these frequencies are put out there transparently for people to see, with the human aspect and all of us being fully present, acknowledged, and respected. But I really feel like that this is really big, and we're going to really get the message more and more as time goes on by the things that are happening in our lives.
We are all together recreating the arc, the bridge to the new world that we're going to walk all together. And again, this was another part of the latest work in the groups, the recreation of the arc that is taking place through the codes that the ancient ones carry. And it's a new arc. Now, why it was said that it's being recreated? I believe because this has happened many times before.
Obviously. Yeah.
It's a program that begins and ends, and those who want to exit, those who wish to continue from the beginning. It's a program that it's working in a loop. So if we're recreating, it means we have done it before. It means that we are the ones who run this game. And we have to come in these specific times to help or support the processes,
to grow.
Right? To grow.
Because I mean,
so
when you get,
we're reading a capsule that we already left signs for us, definitely.
It's like it's like we're expanding it. It's like that movie. God, I can see it, but I can't remember what it's called. Inception.
Inception.
And they go into consciousness, and they have dreams within the dreams, within the dreams, within the dreams. I don't really see it so much that way. I do feel like that the human lineage is stemming from our galactic lineage as almost like a conscious present experiment somehow or another. But what I'm saying is that every time it makes sense, the 369, it makes sense that we leave these markers. It makes sense because what we're actually doing is refining it. So the next one that we set up after we go through the experience of the last one is even more profound and more potential, you know what I mean? And more of a pain in the ass, I guess, if you want to look at it that way. That we
more
set
challenging.
it up. Yeah, we set it up better and better and better. But one of the things I really like about this energy that we're sharing with you, and what I've experienced, because I think like a lot of people, I'm not really on social media much anymore, although it feels like something's starting to happen for all of us to come out and do this kind of thing. But one of the things that I've noticed is there's more calmness, there's more security, there's something happening regardless of what things look like by the old standards of the matrix. Like, how much do you make, and what are your bills, and do you have insurance, and all these things seem to be fading away.
because we're not functioning anymore. Those who are in the ascending path, we are not functioning anymore according to the 3D law. We have embraced natural law.
Yeah.
And natural law has a very different way of functioning, very different, because 3D law is a law that has to do with, guiding the children, making sure that the children keep some kind of a balance, or, natural law, you can only reconnect and embrace natural law when you decide that you want to become an adult soul, and you take responsibility about your own being and your own actions, everything that you are experiencing, and you are.
Right.
And after you take responsibility, you're actually becoming more free as a being. You're not being determined by the 3D laws. So you're expanding and becoming an adult being, and you are reclaiming your connection to natural law, which is a totally different state of being. But it can only happen when somebody decides to become an adult.
Yeah,
So the
like you
3D law doesn't apply to them anymore.
yeah, like you said at the beginning, grow up. Basically
No,
grow up when you decide to grow
actually,
up.
it's very easy to see where one is in their path of, becoming an adult, if they're still having problems with the law, if they're still having problems, with other people controlling their lives, or are dependent by other people. These are signs that parts of the self are still immature.
Right.
So they know what, it's an indication that you can actually, from which you can actually know where you're standing in your progress of becoming an adult soul.
Yeah.
Because once you become an adult soul, 3D law cannot even see you.
Well, yeah. And you know what's crazy about this transition or transformation to me is there's no judgment with what you just said.
Mhm.
There's no judgment in of ourselves. You reach that point of awareness and maturity where you don't condemn yourself. And so
You're bending the law.
yeah, so the moment you get it, none of that
Mm.
means anything anymore, right?
Yes.
It doesn't mean
No, it
anything anymore.
means for the
Yeah.
people who are, it's very important and valuable for the
Mm.
people who are still in, immature mode. It's very
Oh yeah, yeah,
valuable
yeah,
still.
yeah, yeah. I just meant that when you personally go through it or phases of it, I'm not saying I'm done with anything, but um, I guess you might say it's very forgiving. And so you go through it and you're like, oh my God, just like I was telling you earlier about what happened to me with that final detachment. It was like, oh my
Yes,
God, I didn't even try to make it happen. But I guess
yes,
at some level innately, I was working on it, like we all work on it, because we're here to expand our souls ultimately. But I wanted to ask you one more thing too, because, and I really appreciate having a conversation where we're not talking about the solar flash, and we're not talking about all the things that we talk about in over the years in these groups. And again, it's different now. It's no judgment. It's just we're in a different place and we're trying to figure it out. But one of the things that really intrigues me and stokes my curiosity is the whole narratives about a splitting, a bifurcation, two earths, two consciousnesses, or two bands of frequency that begin to separate. Um, and I really, at this point in the game, don't want to get caught up in the literal experience of, oh my God, what's going to happen? Tell me what's going to happen. But do you feel at a physical, you might say mortal human level, that there's a split occurring, or are we
yes.
doing this? Are we doing this all together?
No, I think we've discussed about this before. I totally feel the split,
Hmm.
and the split, it is very valuable. The split doesn't mean anything negative in my view. it means that those who want out, those who are ready to become adult souls and claim freedom, claim their being back, are free. And
Right.
those who do not wish to do it yet because they're not ready yet, or because they might be, young in this matrix or this 3D reality, they will be totally free to do otherwise. But further down the path, the splitting is only, what I'm trying to say is that the split is only temporary. Okay? Further down the path, there will be many, how can I say, points of reconnection.
Right.
Until the last moment where the whole program will end. This will be the end, okay?
Right.
But to me, I don't see the split as something negative. I actually
Right.
see it as something that we, the living ones, asked for. And I feel that many things that are happening, it is us that are initiating them. Also, the resets that are about to happen in the next years. I think it is us, the living ones, who are initiating the resets, the great resets,
Right.
every time that they're happening.
Right.
We are inside the program and we are asking for the redemption. We are asking for the purification. And we are activating these functions in the program. Even, let's say, comets, like Atlas that came,
Right.
explosion of stars, like Borealis,
Right.
or like, I think we are initiating them from
Right.
within the program. Without us being here, developing our being and expanding, I don't think we would have such of phenomena.
Mm.
So it's about freedom. There are people who do not wish to develop now, and they're free because creation accepts everybody.
Right.
But there will be a point where the program will end. Okay, it's only temporary.
That's
And
yeah, go ahead.
if I remember, I've shared this with you before. When we received some years ago the Holy Cell, it was an initiation of the Holy Cell. And back then, we were told that those who will decide to go through their own purification, right, through their inner work,
Right.
they will not have to experience the challenges of the physical resets. Because basically, those who have decided to take accountability and go through their own resets, they will not need to experience anything external resetting. You know what I mean? They will not have to go through these challenges. But the people, many people who have not decided yet, for their own reasons, for their own development, for whatever reason, that they don't want to take accountability now of their resetting, they will have the chance to do it through the resets that the earth will bring.
Right.
You understand? Yes?
Yes. Yes.
So this was a very important message because this is about free will. Nobody told me, Irini, do your work, or take responsibility and heal. I decided that, right? I decided it was time for me to heal because my soul prefers to actually reset through this way.
Right.
Other souls have decided that they want to reset massively through the resets that the earth will bring, which are much more challenging,
Right.
will be much more challenging because of the different phenomena, the different, moving of the lands, etc., etc., etc.
Well, it makes for a more indifferent, intense human experience. But
Yeah.
yeah,
But if you have lived through this, and I have, and I remember the experience of going through a reset in such a way, you have a free will to choose otherwise.
yeah,
I don't wish to have an experience like that in this lifetime. And I'm given this free will by, the universe, and I took it. Somebody else might need this experience of resetting through the external resetting of Earth.
yeah,
And also, another thing that is very important is that during the summer, the twin flames became the phoenixes, meaning they burned down all of their, distortions and toxicities, karma, whatever. Becoming a phoenix as a twin flame, meaning your inner yin and yang, it's a great process of death,
yeah,
that you're doing it by free choice.
yeah,
And once the twin flames became the phoenixes, we were told that now the twin flames entered a period in which they will learn how to interact with the elements.
yeah,
And this was back in the summer, right? This was back in the summer when we started this process. We might have not yet fully understood what it means to interact with the elements, but the twin flames are the elements. Okay? The elements are creating the worlds, right? The elements are creating the twin flames come together, couples come together, and they bring on their qualities, their elements, and then they cooperate with other twin flames and other twin flame couples, and they create bigger worlds. Now, after becoming a phoenix, it was said that the twin flames will go through challenges of activating their abilities to interact with the elements.
wow,
This is very important also.
yes, resonates.
Meaning they will be able to work on the environment, or address certain energies to the environment, or talk to the elements, interact with the elements. It's a much different, very different state of co-creation. We're coming in a dialogue with nature
Yeah,
by building our fields, by bringing our fields back into stability, by activating all of our spheres. We are becoming bigger and bigger, and we are exercising stability.
yeah,
This is the work of the twin flames. And I think we have a lot, very exciting discoveries ahead of us, rediscovering our powers.
mm. Sounds sexy.
Totally.
But it's all
And fun.
it's been a lot of work for everybody, whether you're with a partner or not. I mean, this is such a you can feel it. It's such a more I don't know, what is it, comfortable uh, vibration and frequencies to be in this kind of conversation, or connection, or whatever that happens to us each day. I know so many people. I mean, I see my friend Angie Parker, and she's one of many women I know that have their home is their van, and they living in nature, and these are all of these stories. Everyone here, these individual stories are anchoring in that real energy, and it's not a matter of rebellion to turn away from all these movie script narratives. It's actually been going on for quite some time. She says natural, and that is right. And I think what you said earlier, somebody said it, was in the comments about over the last 3 years, they've met more and more people that are, having conversations like this and having experiences like this. And I believe that, from what you're saying and what others have said, that have led us to this point, we are to be experiencing, we already are, but they're just going to get better and bigger and broader and more balanced. And it's not fluffy love and light, and the dark is present, and the human's present, and the multidimensionality is
Here for
present, the
all.
masculine's present, the feminine's present. You know what I mean? I mean,
And
it's
we're here for all. Very important. We are here for all.
yes,
Truly for all. As long as they want it.
yeah.
And there are three things I want to say before we go. First of all, there is a question coming very, very strongly for you
I hope it's not for
from the
me.
mother. If you are willing and feeling ready to take your position in the Great Pyramid, you don't have to answer to me now. But this question comes very strongly, and I needed to share this with you. If you're ready to take your position in the Great Pyramid as the co-creator God that you are, and because you're actually holding the creational rays. And the other thing I wanted to say is that just a clarification about the unconditional love of the mother of the Magna Mater, right? So, because you said before that you have witnessed women being very compassionate with the processes of others and men, etc. What I've witnessed in the last few weeks is a clear, unprecedented pulling out of the feminine from all situations that were ill or distorted. Like I've never seen this before. The feminine pulling very clearly out of distortion, or, distortions and relationships that were distorted, or the masculine that were distorted. Like it is like the feminine that was supporting the development or was trying to help the masculine,
Right.
pulling out totally.
Yeah, I get
She's
that.
pulling out totally.
Yeah.
So this is what is called tough love. This is actually the love that comes from the Great Mother.
Yeah.
Because she has nothing that she wants to achieve or win, like the Dark Mother.
Right.
She doesn't have an agenda, the Great Mother. She's here for all, but all must be here for them. You know what I mean? So she's pulling out. She's pulling away her support.
Yeah.
Or guidance, so that those who were not fully clear, not fully taking responsibility, not fully telling the truth, not fully doing what is needed, they're not going to have the mother's support in the way they believed, or in the way that they are used to. It's not going to happen anymore. It's like, it's out of love that this is happening. And I've never seen this happening more than the last few weeks.
Makes sense.
Because
Yeah.
now it's the time for the feminine to fully be established and support herself. So everybody who was not, embracing self-accountability and self-responsibility, self-honesty, they're going to have to do it on their own.
Yeah.
They're going to have to reposition. Once they reposition, the truth is going to be there. The love is going to be there. And I think that the feminine who continues supporting the masculine within and without, and losing energy, leaking energy because of that, very soon they will understand that they will not be able to do it anymore because it's going to have great negative consequences on their beings.
Yeah.
Like this information is now running through the feminine very, very clearly because it's urgent that she chooses herself and establish the new feminine thrones and pyramids. And these pyramids are all over the plane. They're hidden pyramids inside, hidden pyramids inside the land and inside the sea. And these pyramids will be activated by the feminine now. And the masculine that is ready, mature and adult, that has been doing the work is the masculine that will facilitate and hold space for these feminine goddesses and the feminine pyramids to be activated. So for me at least, it was the 25th of November that the energy took me up in the mountain again with a friend, male friend. And again, without expecting it, he was asked if he agrees on the return of the feminine thrones and the feminine pyramids. And of course, he said yes, all the way. So, to my experience, the masculine gave his agreement for this to take place, right? So it's very important also for the conscious adult masculine around the world to say yes to this. This is another message that comes from my heart.
Yeah.
And I hope, it is shared out there that those of you who are awakened masculines and you have been doing the work, your agreement is needed now for the feminine goddess to return.
Yeah. Yes. I agree.
Thank you.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's everything comes down to a simple, it's wisdom is simple. I mean, the reality is simple, and it's the mother is the mother. Period. I mean,
Now
that's
that you
it.
said wisdom, what did you say?
No, I'm just saying, period. That's it. The mother is the mother. I mean, how can alignment with the mother is alignment of everything. And it's not,
That's
again, it's,
something that you understand, and maybe few others, but the majority is not there yet.
I don't know. But I know that, I can just speak from where I'm at. I'm not saying I will say I'm in alignment with the mother. And that the last 2 months have been very prolific, particularly November the 6th and December the 7th. And but what I feel is like to appeal or connect to the incarnated male, for the most part, masculine energy, those who identify with that, that it really it was so easy the way it happened. It shocked me. And and really, at the end of the day, I don't even know if I can really put this in words right now because I don't think I'm brave enough, which is weird. But to try to relate it to a masculine energy and form, the typical, okay, and I say that with reverence and respect of the role that energy has played in our physical existence, is to totally let go of, God, how do you say this without, to totally let go of how do you say this, of the sexual programs that we created in this realm, that from that baseline created massive distortion. And we can go into so many different things, especially on the masculine side that I could speak for anyway. I can't really speak for the feminine side, but to be able to get past that, was a
It
shock,
became a business.
well, it was a shock. And the great thing was I didn't really have time to uh immerse myself in the shock because of what came with it. And it
So
wasn't
what
just
came with it? Can you
what came,
share with us what
yeah,
came with it?
yeah, I can tell you what came with it. What came with it was uh I don't, again, I'm really struggling for words. And, I've used words so much over the last few 10 or 12, 14 years with my work, and I don't really have the words. But the closest I can get to it would be this. Obviously, there is a whole new world in how I look at myself and how I look at my beloved in all ways, physically, energetically, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But overall, I would say that it's translating into a totally new experience, period, all the way around
Is there more
360.
freedom?
Huh?
Is there more freedom?
I don't even think that word can, I mean, obviously there's a freedom in it, I think, from a liberation in it from what was God, how do you say things without deprecating, but like there was a liberation from the old, but
Yes.
I don't really know that it's a freedom. It is a freedom to a man, I think, in many ways, one of them being the weight of the world is off my shoulders. I don't have to prove that I'm a man anymore by the things that we did, which was what job do you have? How big was your bank account? How big was your dick? How do you perform in bed? And how does your dick get hard? And all these things, right? I mean, I'm being metaphoric, but I'm using funny little descriptions. But for a man, I think it's a very weird thing. It's happened very quickly. I know it's not just me. The writing's been on the wall. How can the feminine really be seen if the things holding that energy in all of us that's feminine, the mother, is being restricted by the programs and the sub programs, particularly those of the root and the sacral and the sexual distortion, et cetera, et cetera. It's just, yeah, free. It's funny, at any, because when I came to Mexico after we spent a month in Canada, visiting in a park and going back to our countries, the first thing I said when I walked into the apartment where Morgan was I'm free. I'm fucking free. And I was speaking obviously in literal terms about something else, but that's about the third time that that's come back to me. And I think that was something to do with what I'm trying to explain right now, what that freedom is, which is I don't have to be that anymore. I don't have to be the breadwinner. I don't have to be all those things. But like I said, as it cleared or as it released, it was shocking. It's been shocking, but at the same time, it's been a relief because what I can see now, what I'm experiencing, even today, before, when I took a walk or it's my birthday and Morgan gave me some great gifts, it's the best birthday I've ever had. And it's simple, it's profound, it's beautiful, it's love, and it's real. And for a man to really absorb that and to allow that and to be that and to feel that, it's a huge game changer. I have no idea what's going to happen. I have no idea about anything. I just know that something's come in and it's pretty exciting because we can all see the um, feminine energy. And I would just go back to say 2012, but we can all see the presence and the force and the consistency and the patience and the love and compassion that the feminine and the bravery and the courage that the feminine energies had during this time that we've developed up until this whole thing started to change this year. Um, and so, yeah, I feel like that what you're talking about, what your Morgan's talking about, and in terms of the way you describe it, is that this year that's coming in is the year that we really start to create things. And I think the example of how this show happened today is a perfect example, because the feminine in all of us has the intel, the intuition. So you have this intuitive vision of me and you connecting. 2 days later, she has a dream. The human Todd is like, okay, I'm going to hit up at NA and see what
Algorithm.
happened. But that's the creator force, right? That's the one that creates the matter, right? And so it's to me, that's like a really small way of saying what I think is what you guys are describing and what we're starting to experience. Um,
So
and
you're
it's
also describing from what I'm receiving
hmm,
through your sharing about this shift in you. It really sounds like you got liberated from certain, contracts or programming that was there in the sexual center, and you released your worthiness from there. So it's like you.
it's funny. That's a good question or a good comment. Let me just say this, because now I got to say it. So it's interesting, because imagine we're not together physically for 37 months. And we had a really beautiful coming together. It probably took 12 days for us to actually consummate by the old terms. But every night was a beautiful lovemaking in many ways that you would say is non-traditional, whatever. Very innocent, very natural and organic. And the um, effects on the body itself, because of the alignment of the energy, have been profound. Like almost like you're going through puberty again, right? So to have that occur, and at the same time, for the old, in other words, as a man, you're going, oh my God, I'm going to rock and roll every day if I can. Well, you know what I mean? But to have that occur, and at the same time, you have this experience or revelation, or you go through this gateway where it is no longer important. It's not even real. It wasn't real. It was a program, and it's baffling. I'll give you one last example. It was 2 nights ago, when I think today's the 9th, right? So this happened on the 7th of December. So we laid down for our nightly session and put our hands together, and I just sat up, and I'm like, and I know this is going to sound a bit corny, but I'm serious. Yeah. There's a lot of multidimensional stuff happening when we do this, but I was very human, and I said, "Can I kiss you?" and, and I'm telling you, for like 5 minutes, I'm trying to move in just to give her a peck, and the energy was so strong and so pure. I thought I
Mm,
was going to vomit because it was
mm.
coursing through my body. So there's a whole other world that's opened up here in this, is the way I see it. And I don't have the answers, but uh, it seems like the rules are: show up, be transparent, which means you're wide open. So you're leaving all the prejudices and biases and bullshit behind as best you can, and see what happens. And
Yeah,
whatever
tapping into
happens,
the moment.
right? So whatever seems to be happening seems to be pure, childlike wonder, love, uh, you know, that that mother energy, right? That completeness, that wholeness. I mean, um, so I think I feel that this is going to be a hell of a year. And going back to that question I had, that about do you feel like there'll be a split? Um, I'm really starting to feel that for the first time ever, in the sense that um, some, you could describe it a lot of ways, but some will participate with the way it goes. And I know Franco described the same thing you did, and he said it'll go like this and then like that. So it's, again, like you said, not a bad thing, but I think one path is to experience it in a very local way, in what's in front of you, your partner, the people, the place, and the other will be more of a collective, what's going on in the collective kind of experience. And I'm happy to be on the path where it's going to be me and her, and that
Right.
frequency, it doesn't matter what's going on in the rest of the world, because
But we're connecting to each other. Those of us who now, because you're there, as you say, with Morgan, and you're alone in this, area in the home, whatever, you are alone. You're not with,
right,
the families or anything. I'm here in my house alone. My family, my sister is like very close, but I don't really see her. You know what I mean? Like I have friends, but I don't really see a lot of people. So
right,
I'm in my house. It might seem that we are isolated in a way, right? But what is happening is that we are connecting to each other, very well, that we might be isolated, but at the same time, we are creating this network, this grid of light. So we are operating together. I think this is why we received this message today.
right.
Exactly. To exchange the information, share the call, share what needs to be done next, because we are operating together. It might look that we are isolated
Right.
in small islands, like we are small islands, but these islands are connected by another energy. And this is where we are creating another layering on Earth.
Yeah.
It's very important for us to also in the last session, it was in the last group session, it was said to us that you don't understand. Our guide said to us, you have exceeded every expectation. You will be surprised in a good way of how much more you have actually achieved than what you were expecting when you entered this field, which means we have done much,
Yeah.
much more
Yeah.
than what we were, planning to.
Yeah, I agree.
And it was said that we are the ones who believed without seeing. We are
Right.
the ones who kept the faith. We are keeping the faith going without having, any tangible proofs
Yeah.
about anything.
Yeah.
And this, everyone who's in this heart-based state, keeping the faith, trusting the inner voice, these ones are going to be the ones that will enjoy the greatest joy now, the greatest celebration, the greatest gifts, the greatest freedoms. Because it is first, you believe, you have the faith, you trust your heart, and then everything will be revealed to you. Whereas the common perception in the 3D world, it's the opposite. Show me the money, show me the
Right.
proof,
Right.
show me it's the opposite. So it was
That's not
really
how it works on
amazing.
this end.
No, it's
Oh, yeah,
not
that's not.
exactly. It's the opposite because it's heart-based. It's not,
Yeah.
mind-based. It's
Yeah.
heart-based. And again, another beautiful message. We have achieved much more than what we were planning to.
Yeah. True. Okay. I'm going to go to an Italian restaurant with my beloved.
Oh, I wanted to share the Greek version of Happy Birthday with you
Okay.
because for
Yeah.
some reason it applies to you a lot. So, okay, I don't know if I'm gonna sing it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
You
I
have to.
can
You
sing
have.
it.
You have to sing it. You have to.
Okay, before I sing it, let me translate the words because it's the words that matter, okay? So it is a wish about the person who celebrates the birthday. So it is a wish about a long-lived life with many, many years. Let me remember all the words. To grow up and gain white hair. You're doing it. To spread the light of knowledge so that everybody says, here's a wise one. So this is the translation of the song I'm going to sing now. Oh my God, okay. Okay, this is the least I can do for your birthday. So, να ζήσεις tot και χρόνια πολλά, μεγάλος να γίνεις με άσπρα μαλλιά, παντού να σκορπίζεις τις γνώσεις το φως και όλοι να λένε ένα σοφός.
Thank you.
Happy birthday, χρόνια πολλά.
Thank you very much.
From your Greek family.
It was good seeing you. I love you. And
Good seeing
thank
you
you
too.
for-
Enjoy your birthday with your wife.
okay, thank you. I'll see you.
Thank you very much.